All right, management plane. And I'm going to be going fast because I'm running out of time. So, wireline on the management plane. Again, this is a section where we're going to go through all the different ways that we can manage the rXg. We already talked about multi-vendor wired and wireless management monitoring, but essentially we can take command and control of third-party systems. We can monitor third-party systems. We can build out template configurations for third-party systems. We actually have a built-in hypervisor as well. You can build template configurations for that too. You can actually do a full cloud init deployment of, like, say, a Ubuntu server. So you can automatically have it push down via template, grab the ISO via the internet, and automatically have the correct IP address as well as SSH credentials on that system and boot up all in the span of however long it takes for the system to download. The hypervisor is wicked fast, so it spins up the VM in a matter of seconds. Multi-vendor wireless management monitoring. We essentially, again, being able to take command and control of third-party systems and being able to push out configurations like VLANs, multiple pre-shared key policies, 802.1x policies, MAC auth, wired, wireless, extend the same policies across those networks as well in those systems. Procedurally generated network maps. In addition, if you have, which we will automatically turn on for you, but we will automatically turn on neighbor discovery protocols, depending on what the manufacturer is. There's several out there, so LDP, CDP, et cetera, so that you can auto discover your neighbor devices. And then we'll pull that data in and build a map for you as well. And then you can customize the map and move stuff around. In addition, on the map, we'll show link connections if they're up or down. We'll show VLANs associated with those systems. You can change different views, so you can click on a switch and show what APs are connected to that switch, what devices are connected to that switch, et cetera. Reporting, log retention, and CALIA. We have full customization in terms of how long you want your logs to rotate, and it's based on a log by log, case by case scenario as well. So it's not like, I want reporting to only last 5 days. It's on every single log, every single service. You can customize how long you want that particular log to last, how often you want it to rotate. You can also set priority levels as well. So if I do run out of disk, I definitely want to keep these logs, that sort of thing. All this can be offloaded to a different server as well. You can store it somewhere else. You don't have to store it locally. And with our solutions, you can buy hardware from us, but you can also upgrade the disks. You can also put it on your own hardware, which again, you just throw more disk at it if you want longer logs. Zero and low touch provisioning. So when we take command and control of a third-party system, we can actually do a ZTP type deployment, depending on the manufacturer. But in addition to that, if the manufacturer does not support ZTP, we can do what I call a one-touch provisioning. So we'll actually push out a configuration template, dynamically generate it, and say, here you go. This is paste this into the CLI. Take the Cisco switch out of the box, plug it into the wall, power it on, and paste this into the CLI. It's going to have the IP address. It's going to have the password. It's going to sync to our system for Radius as well, and it's going to have everything that it needs to start talking to our system, where now the rest of the policy and the configuration can be pushed out dynamically. And that's, again, what we call one-touch provisioning. We've had some of our MSP partners say that they used to send 4 guys out for 4 days to do a complete site deployment for when they're starting up a system, and now they send 2 guys out for 4 hours for the same type of deployment, because of really this feature. We can also bootstrap a whole rXg as well. So the rXg is the name of our operating system, and essentially we can bootstrap that using something that we call Fleet Manager as well. So you can actually, if you have a DHCP service or a DNS service that you can push down to the rXg, you can automatically discover the Fleet Manager server, automatically pull down a configuration for the rXg as well. And that's this is kind of rounding it out, is Fleet Manager. So when you are doing multiple sites, we have something called Fleet Manager that allows you to monitor all of your remote sites, manage all of your remote sites, do software updates for all of your remote sites, as well as configuration templates and ZTP type deployments for all of your remote sites. It can push out changes, add moves, changes, things like that. Can consolidate all the reports from all of your remote sites into a single location as well, and automate a lot of these tasks. In addition to that, we offer multi-tenancy support. So you can say, I've got all these different sites. I want to split them up into groups. And this group, is accessible by this particular customer, and this group is accessible by this particular customer. And then again, we have R back there as well, so you can say only these features are accessible, or they have a read-only view, or whatever. In addition to that, we have the support for something that we call Bastion Host, which allows the remote site to only be accessible by Fleet Manager. There's a certificate encrypting the traffic tunnel between the two, and we will actually proxy the connection through Fleet Manager, so you can lock down all of your sites so they can only talk to Fleet Manager, and then lock down all your techs so they can only talk to Fleet Manager. And then whenever they actually need to connect to a remote site, you can actually get a reverse proxy tunnel built for the portal, all of the operator portals that might be running on there as well, and also a reverse proxy SSH tunnel through the Fleet Manager server. And that's a native feature that's built in. This is a full private cloud build out. You can obviously deploy it in a public cloud as well, but we are giving you full private cloud access because we believe on pushing things, again, out to the edge and having you guys in control of your data instead of us trying to extrapolate all that data and put it in our cloud. I think last slide. And then the infrastructure demo. All right.
Yeah, so these will be a little bit quicker. Let me end the share there. Now I'm going to share back into the same place we were before. So this is rXg in my lab, and what I wanted to show real quick is the data plane specifically first. I'm, again, Alek Murray with RGNets. I'm a solutions architect. And we're going to show how to create multiple VLANs, multiple subnets, and multiple DHCP servers in seconds. So as a network engineer, I've created a lot of VLANs, put a lot of VLANs on switches, created a lot of gateways for subnets on VLANs.
Scripts.
Using scripts.
Created a lot of scripts as
I've
well.
created a lot of scripts too. I've also created a lot of Excel spreadsheets and dragged down to try to increment IP addresses. So
Four-man script. That's my test.
I've done it a lot of ways, right? So, even create an Ansible script to do all that stuff takes time. So we have a lot of this stuff built in. So I'm going to create a new VLAN here. We're just going to call it test. I'm going to give it a VLAN ID of 3000. And I'm going to set it on my LAN interface. So it doesn't really matter where it is in this case since it's test. Huh?
Zoom in like one time. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So just basically giving the VLAN a name. I'm giving it a VLAN ID. There's a lot of other stuff in here. We talked about SPB earlier, so you can give it an ISID if you're expanding beyond the 4,000 limit. So if you're using shortest path bridging or 802.1AQ, you can put that in here as well. Ratio. So when I was talking about multi-netting earlier, so this would be how many subnets you want to create via or per VLAN tag. So if you had a network that was just a bunch of /30s for people to onboard, they weren't going to be on there very long, you weren't too concerned about them guessing IP addresses and that kind of stuff, you can multi-net. We could put 100 networks in there and have one VLAN with 100 networks. Not usually suggested for obvious reasons for networks that need to be secure, but it is possible to do there. So I'm going to create that one VLAN. And you'll see it's been created VLAN test here, and I'm going to create a new network interface. So down in the network addresses, this will be my layer 3 interface. I'm going to call this test as well. I want to set the VLAN that I just created, which is called test, and I'm just going to give it a random IP. We'll use 100 dot, and I'm going to make a bunch of /30s just because it doesn't take up as much IP space. So this is all I would need to do, right? Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see that. So I select the VLAN here. I give it the IP address, but then we have a feature called auto increment.
That's nice. You can do the prefix delegation.
Yeah, IPv6 obviously native as well. But with auto increment, I can create multiple.
Is Bruno watching?
Bruno.
Yeah, so let's say I want to create 100 networks. So when I create those 100 subnets, you'll see that it's created 100 /30 subnets. And if I go up, and I'm going to zoom out just so I can see it here a little bit, and I'm going to click refresh, it's also created 100 VLANs. So it auto incremented those VLANs as well. One of the things that I didn't do, and I'm going to delete this and recreate it because I wanted to show that as well, because that's kind of part of the second demo, since we skipped the first one there. So if I delete test,
And I'm just going to pause real quick. So, you know, he just, in the time it took him to create one VLAN, and I'm going to jump over here.
Yeah.
So in the time it took him to create one VLAN, he created in one subnet, IP subnet, it automatically created 100 VLANs, 100 subnets. It also created 100 DHCP pools on the back end and 100
That's
firewall policies associated with that as well. You didn't see all that because it just did it in the background. But there's now 100 IP interfaces, 100 DHCP scopes, and
that's what I didn't do. So I wanted to go back in and I wanted
you
to go
didn't check the box.
I didn't check the box first. So
You have to check the box to.
although you can see it's pretty easy when I deleted the subnets, they instantly went away. The VLANs also went away. So if I now create the DHCP pool for all of those subnets, if I create a new IP group, so an IP group would just be an identity that I want to apply a policy to later on, like a firewall policy. I can already just click create new. It'll create a new policy called test for that IP group. And then when I click create, and let's refresh that again just to show that the VLAN was created. So there's my 100 VLANs. And I'm going to jump up to DHCP. In my DHCP pool, there's the DHCP pool, and this is where it summarizes the pool. So I don't have 100 subnets spanning 400 pages here. I can see that this is summarized into 1.2 would be, of course, the first client's IP address, and then 2.142 would be the last client's IP address. Goes with the here. So
And go ahead and edit that pool too, so you can see. We can also reserve the first X number or the last X number of every single individual pool as well, or range, I should say, since it is one massive pool. And we can do other things as well. So we can set other policies around this as well. But essentially, that's a common request that we get is, I want to reserve the first 3 or the last 3 or 10 or whatever it may be of a subnet. Obviously not a /30. But,
right.
But yeah, if it's a larger subnet, then that's a very common request. I think there's a question right there.
So do you have like an IPAM that's in here that's pulling it out of, or are you guys just kind of keeping a table where all the ranges and everything are being stored at?
Yes, so we're keeping a table that all the ranges are stored at, but then also there is a full DNS server in here as well, so we can correlate to that, as well as a lot of times like each one of these ranges is getting associated with a user account or device or group or something in the policy that also correlates all that information and keeps track of it as well. So I know, like, if you're in room 102, I know what your DHCP subnet is, your IP address, your MAC address, your device, your username, and I can search for any of those things in the top right-hand corner here, and it's going to pull up a little blurb about you and everything we know about you in addition, all of your connection states, information, all of your your policy, etc. Is all going to be in one clear view as well.
Okay, but no.
You're functionally running an IPAM basically on this because you have to keep track of those things. You may not call it
on the
that.
back end,
It sounds
yes.
Like you,
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the back end, yeah.
Well, no one created an IPAM because they love IPAM. They created a DNS and DHCP and then needed IPAM to stick them together.
Fair,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that would be true here. Is that it's not like
Yes.
you're keeping track of your supernets and what subnets are tied to sites or anything like that. It's just big old honking table of subnets.
Well, again, so we can build policies based off of sites and locations and user counts and various things to say this particular subnet is with this particular site. That is all very capable in the solution as well. So,
Okay.
And we can do site-based policy decisions to say this range of subnets. So just as fast as he created that, he could create a whole nother pool that is now, the next. Usually we still do logical things, as in like this site is going to be 100.10 and that site's going to be 100.20, et cetera, right? But we can also tie all that logically to a map where we've got all these sites built out as well. And also, again, actually tie policies to it for authentication purposes. So,
Question, kind
Yes.
of just follow up. In terms of this GUI, what's to prevent you from fat fingering putting the same IP address in?
It'll catch it.
Will it catch
Yes,
it?
absolutely. It'll
flag
catch.
it for you?
Yeah, same thing for VLAN
well, it won't
overlaps.
let you create it. It'll give you a big red at the top that says this is already in
Same with
use.
VLAN numbers. So
Same
like,
with
I've
VLAN.
already created VLAN 10.
Correct.
Correct. Yep. Go ahead.
What if I want to?
I was going to add a VLAN to a port, but we're
Oh yeah, so he's
Overtime.
going to add a VLAN to port. We've got 5 seconds. But
we're
over 5 seconds.
You're over.
The VLAN adding to the port also is going to do the same thing where it's going to push all the VLANs out to those ports based off of the port policy group. Again, the port policy group is vendor agnostic as well.
So yeah, what I did is I just put that, I created a new port group. I put that VLAN on that port group. I put a port on a TP-Link switch in that group. If you saw it just a second ago, it turned yellow. I'm going to delete it and show you again for it to change back. But it reached out to that switch, created that VLAN, put that VLAN on any ports that I required it for. So if I need to put it on a trunk port, I could put it there as well. And then save the config, right? And that synchronization is all done. So that's all it did to the config. And then if I
We got to wrap up.
Yeah.
But yes, again, you can go to our website, you can download a free copy. There's a whole getting started guide that walks through more than what we showed in this demo as well on how to do it yourself on your own VMware environment. You can do bare metal install, register for free on our website. I've been running my house on that for the last 7 years. So thank you.
What is your normal engagement like with customers? Do you go in there with a customer's other vendor to create a solution, or do you just sell the platform?
You know, I'm head of sales and I'm still trying to figure that out. So, but no, we either one. So it depends. It depends on if a manufacturer brought us in, then we're usually going in with the manufacturer. If the customer reach out to us directly, then we can suggest a manufacturer or work with the manufacturer that you're already using. It really just depends. But we have all sorts of different engagement cycles. We have a full pro services. We have a full managed services team to help guide you through this process as well. We also have a full support on Reddit. It's a very active community as well on our Reddit, where if you were to download the free version off of our website, it'll guide you towards the Reddit for support as well. And there are multiple questions being asked every week with tons of responses. In terms of networking Reddits, it's actually more active, even though there's fewer people actually connected to it. So a number of different resources to lean on there.
including some of the RGNet employees.
Including all the RGNets. We monitor that as well. We don't actually remove anything from our Reddit. We like, other than, spam or something. But we like it to be as is and its own thing, but we monitor it for quality of content to make sure that when somebody's responding to something, it's the right answer. So, and if nobody is responding, then we chime in and we respond as well. So, but for the most part, we try to stay hands off.